My name is Aaron Felivi, and today's current event will be on polar regions. Role 1, Intro and Key Terms, was by Araba Jean Fabrice Anigima and Hannah Boss. Role 2, Current Event Summary, was done by Noam Stanislavski. Role 3, Discussion Questions and Producer, was done by Aaron Felivi. The polar regions are known as the North and South Pole. These areas lie within the polar circles, and these latitudes are dominated by floating sea ice coverings most of the ocean around these regions. The climate in these regions is known as polar climate. The polar regions receive less solar radiation than any other part of the world. This is because the sun has to travel a larger amount and is less concentrated when it reaches these regions. In the North Pole, the sun is out for 24 hours straight in the summer. During the winter period, they see no light for a couple of months. The South Pole has the exact opposite. This is because of the Earth's gravitational orbit around the sun. Climate change is a big issue for the polar regions, as the North and South Poles are warming faster than any other area. The ice sheets are losing net mass to the ocean. This is because of the temperatures rising. The ice caps are melting, and this results in more seawater. Also, the amount of water freezing in the winter has dropped massively, so there is no way to even the loss over the summer anymore. Sea ice reflects a lot of warmth that is coming from the sun. When these ice caps melt, that process stops. The water is now dark and starts absorbing more sunlight, which speeds up the process of climate change. This is why the polar regions are a key point to global warming. This process also causes the loss of lots of animals. The sea ice is the home to lots of animals: polar bears, seals, and penguins. When the ice melts, they have no place to survive, and they die. The 3 key terms we choose from are amplification, biomagnification, and bioaccumulation. The polar amplification is the process whereby, as described earlier, because of the change in the net radiation, it has caused a larger change in temperature near the poles than anywhere else on Earth at that time. Bioaccumulation is now pervasive in the Arctic, even in areas with no human activity. The polar regions are being destroyed, and something needs to be done to stop these beautiful landscapes from going to waste. Our current event article is titled, "Some Squirmy Stopaways Got to the Arctic, and They Like It There." It was written by Sofia Aguela and published by the New York Times on July 14th, 2023. Here is the link to our article. Our article is about the invasion of earthworms within the Arctic climates. The article begins by going into detail about the history of earthworms invasions into the Arctic, along with the effects they put on the climate. In most of the world, earthworms are a part of a healthy ecosystem, helping to keep soil fertile for plants and animals. However, the vegetation in the Arctic Circle has preserved for a millennia without the microbes produced by earthworms. Humans have been bringing earthworms, sometimes on purpose, but oftentimes not, to the Arctic since the middle of the 19th century. With rapid increase of temperature within the Arctic Circle due to polar amplification, the earthworms were able to settle and to reproduce. Earthworms can switch their biological gender anytime, so once enough earthworms were settled in, it would be very difficult to ever remove them from the climate. These earthworms have increased the amount of soil within the Arctic by huge amounts, leading to even further increases in polar amplification due to the soil being able to absorb more heat than ice sheets. The effects of increased earthworm populations have already been seen just south of the Arctic. The boreal forests spread throughout North America have had similar issues with climate because of earthworms' overpopulation. Earthworms in these areas have affected the soil so deeply that grass and herbs are taking place of many old pine, spruce, and larch trees. These examples could prove to be a warning for the Arctic, as vegetation there is not as adaptive to warmer temperature as plants further south. Experts are unsure about the exact ramification of these earthworms' presence. While there has been increased vegetation due to their occupancy, their impact on Arctic animals has not been studied at length. Indigenous populations rely on fishing and hunting to survive, and the earthworms' proliferation of climate change could force them out of their homelands sooner than later. It is very likely that if bioaccumulation occurs, it is very likely that biomagnification could bring these toxins onto humans from eating fish, which could have very effects on indigenous populations' health. However, there is some hope. Some initial research has suggested that the amount of emissions in the Arctic related to earthworms' presence could either be zero or actually be a reduction of total emissions within the Arctic. This is because the plants which grow in the new soil could suck up some of the carbon released into the air from the decomposition of other flora. It is difficult to know the exact impact of their existence within the region, but earthworms will not be leaving the Arctic anytime soon. Now I'm going to ask a few discussion questions. Why is it bad that earthworms are in the Arctic? My second question is, what are the main animals suffering from climate change? Thank you, everyone. Have a nice day.